Yes. Good evening, everyone. A very warm and hearty welcome to the JMitra Scientific Webinar on the importance of CLIA in transfusion transmitted infections or TTI testing in blood centers. As blood safety becomes more critical than ever, CLIA or chemiluminescence assay immunoassay is emerging as a transformative tool for TTI testing in blood centers. We at JMitra are proud to host Dr. Sourav Mukherjee, Associate Consultant, Department of Transfusion Medicine, Apollo Multi-Speciality Hospital, Calcutta, as he shares his scientific insights, practical applications, and challenges around CLIA technology. So I'd love you guys to pay attention and listen to these pearls of wisdom that Dr. Mukherjee will be sharing with us today. And please do put in your questions in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions in either the Q&A or the chat box uh, at the conclusion of this presentation. Dr. Mukherjee, all over to you, sir. The forum is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this kind introduction. Today, we are going to discuss importance of CLIA in transfusion-transmitted infection. And I am thankful to the JMitra team for organizing such a wonderful academic event. So I have divided my topic into basic background, the principle of CLIA, his advantages and disadvantages, and lastly, the quality control. So let's start with our topic. So firstly, the CLIA, it combines two terms. One is chemiluminescence and another is immunoassay. Why it is chemiluminescence? Because it is related to chemical reaction which emits light. And why it is immunoassay? Because it detects antigen and antibody, the reaction between antigen and antibody. So relies on luminescence principle. What is? It is the emission of light by a substance. When a substance that absorbs energy in forms of light, it goes from ground state to the excited state. But it is actually called cold light because it generates light when it is cold. And when it comes from excited to the ground state, that energy converts into light. So there are various forms of luminescence technologies like photoluminescence. One example is fluorescence. One is bioluminescence, as we can see in fireflies and many marine animals, and chemiluminescence, where light produced by chemical reaction. So what is the principle of CLIA or chemiluminescence immunoassay? As the name suggests, the method is based on the immunometric assay, and it involves two-stage reaction. In the first stage, the suspecting antibody, which is present, if present in the sample tested, it binds with the corresponding recombinant antigen which present in the well. The unbound serum is removed by washing. In the second stage, horse radish peroxidase, that is HRP labeled mouse monoclonal human IgG, that binds with this antigen antibody complex. And the unbound conjugate is again removed by washing state. And the bound conjugate is measured by luminescent reaction by adding some signal reagent, which is called luminol and per-acid salt, and also by adding an electron transfer agent. So the basic principle is like ELISA, but when in case of ELISA, some signaling reagent is added. But in luminescent technology, in CLIA technology, some luminescent reaction happens and luminol reagent is added. So the HRP in bound conjugate, they catalyzes the oxidation of the luminol derivative, and that produces light. And the light signals are measured by luminometer, which is inbuilt in the instrument. as you can see from the picture, when the antigen-antibody reaction happens and the conjugate with the enzyme level conjugate is added, this chemiluminescent substance, when you add it to the reaction, and it emits light. And the intensity of the reaction, more the light generated, more is the intensity of the reaction. And the results are interpreted as signal to cutoff ratio. If the signal to cutoff ratio is less than 0.9, we call the reaction to be non-reactive. If the signal to cutoff ratio is 0.9 to less than 1, we call it a borderline of gray zone samples. And if the value is more than 1, we call it as a reactive samples. And what happens when we get a sample range in the gray zone? According to our standard textbooks or NBTC guideline, we should repeat the test in duplicate. If both the test comes out as reactive, then we call it a reactive sample. If one value is reactive and another is non-reactive, then we discard the sample, calling it as a reactive sample. If both comes as non-reactive, then we accept and add to the inventory. This is the NBTC protocol. So if we compare it with ELISA, the basic principle, as you can see, that is as same as ELISA, but ELISA measures the color change, and it is measured by photometer, and the value is given as optical density. You can see the color change. The yellow color denotes that is a reaction happens, and it is measured by change in color. But in case of CLIA, it is measured by production of light. So in CLIA analyzer, the samples are typically barcoded sample. There is a left side, the barcoded sample, and in our setup, we usually use the plain vial samples. And the right side, there is a cassettes where the samples are putted, and in the machine, there is a scanner machine is present. In the inbuilt scanner is there, and it scans the samples, and every data and information are recorded in the machine. And all the steps, the next step, as I already mentioned, that happens when you give the command in the machine. These are the different CLIA manufacturing machines, and by different manufacturers. I gave 2 or 3 pictures here. All the machines are fully automated, have LED monitor with inbuilt printer. So what are the advantages of CLIA? CLIA have higher sensitivity than ELISA. It can accurately detect low level of pathogens. It is much more sensitive methods than ELISA. And it has fast turnaround time. Relatively, we get result by 1 hour. And that is the very advantageous over ELISA technique. And high throughput, it allows the rapid testing of multiple samples, and which increases, of course, increases the efficiency of the testing protocol. And as it is a fully automated machines, that reduce the error associated with manual handling. And also we can archive the result, and whenever we want to see any past result, we can archive from the machine. And it is also cost effective because the initial establishment cost is there, but once it is running smoothly, then it is cost effective in case of long run. Now the disadvantages. As it is a very sensitive technique, it gives many false positive results. And particularly in the low prevalence populations. So it leads to wastage of many blood products, and there is unnecessary deferrals of healthy blood donors. And recently we have done a study where we have found 163 CLIA positive samples, and we have done NAT testing with that 163 positive samples, and we have found only 51 to be NAT positive. That means the rest 112 or 13 samples presumed to be false positive, because NAT detects that DNA or RNA, that is the direct nucleic acid. So the false positive rate is very high because it is a very sensitive technique. And also it gives false negative results, because when the donor is on the window period, it may miss any early stages of infection. And it may also cross-react with other forms of infection or pathogens. And initial costing, as I mentioned earlier, initial costing is high and it is expensive than ELISA. So if we compare the CLIA versus ELISA, so CLIA is a high sensitivity technique and ELISA is comparatively low sensitive. And CLIA is a beneficial effect, is very short duration technique, and ELISA requires long time to complete the total procedure. CLIA a bit expensive compared to the ELISA, and CLIA measures the relative light unit, and ELISA depends on optical density. So applications of CLIA in blood centers, the mandatory tests according to our drug and cosmetic tag, that is HIV, detection of HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and syphilis, we can detect via this CLIA technique. And there are various other uses of CLIA in other in microbiology or biochemistry lab, like hormone testing, tumor marker detection, or protein analysis. So there are various other applications of CLIA, not only in blood bank, but in other fields also. So to run a test, to run a procedure, we need controls. So each test run, that requires a set of controls to validate the test results. There are two types of controls that is used. One is called the internal controls, and another is external controls. So internal controls can also be called the kit controls, because it comes with the kit provided. So there are two sets of controls. One is called the positive control, and another is the negative control. And it can only be used for those batches from which they originate. It comes with the kit. These controls comes with the kit. But the problem is that it cannot detect the minor deterioration of the kits. Now the external controls. So these are the set of controls that included from outside. And two types of controls are used, like the positive and negative, and usually the borderline reactive samples are used for positive controls. Well, it can detect the minor error in the assay formats. So what are the sources of external controls? You can procure it from any national reference laboratories or any third-party control that is commercially available. Control panels are there, or you can prepare in-house prepared external controls. So what is in-house prepared external controls? You usually take, as you can see, in case of ELISA, there is standard protocol is mentioned in any quality manual or NBTC textbook, but not for CLIA. So CLIA is lacking the standard protocol, how to prepare the external controls. So like ELISA, where the E ratio is measured to prepare the controls, we follow the same technique in our institute. We take a borderline reactive sample and make serial double dilution. Then we run the sample in our CLIA machine and measure the sample to cutoff ratio. In the dilution, where the sample to cutoff ratio is near to borderline reactive, we take that sample and keep it refrigerated. And we use it, make a small aliquot and use it when the each run is about to happen. So we must use control for each run. When we start the machine, we must first run the control samples. Then we validate this control is giving accurate result. Then we go with our testing samples. So how to validate that controls are running smoothly? Then we have to prepare QC charts, which is also called the Levy-Jennings chart, where the signal to cutoff ratios are plotted on the y-axis and the consecutive date and runs are plotted on the x-axis. So the limit is 2 standard deviation on either side of the mean. You have to calculate the mean, the standard deviation, and at least 20 tests. You have to run at least 20 controls to draw the graph. As you can see from this picture, the left side, there is a QC calculator. We have done the hepatitis B external control, and we have run 20 tests. So control data values includes 20 tests, and this format is available online. You can give data for 20 tests, and it automatically calculates your standard deviations, the mean value, and the graph is ready. And as you can see, there is a mean value, plus minus 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, and 3 standard deviation. So the control value should be scattered around the mean. On the right side, this graph, this is Levy-Jennings chart, is procured from the machine itself. On the left side, you Google waistguard rule and how to draw the Levy-Jennings chart. And the right side, machine calculated this with the run. You can see from there is a mean value, and the cross are the each sample tested, each control runs, and the values are scattered around the mean. So in general, plus minus 2 standard deviation is the limit of acceptable range. Your control value should be within plus minus 2 standard deviation. And to validate whether your waistguard, whether your Levy-Jennings chart is giving you accurate result, so you have to assess by waistguard rules. So waistguard rules is a vast topic. I should not discuss here. You can see there is, I gave 2 examples. Yes, there is one 2S rule violation in the left side, and the right side is one 3S rule violation. So in the left side, as you can see, the control value goes beyond 2 standard deviations. So that is one 2S violation. And in the right side, it goes beyond 3 standard deviation. The red dot is here, that is goes beyond the 3 standard deviation. That is one 3S rule violation. There are lots of other, there is one 4S deviation, 2S deviation, 10X deviation. So there are a lot of things with this waistguard rule. It is a bit of exhausting topic and a lot to discuss about it. So I just keep it. So here it is the Levy-Jennings control chart. Here, the outliers, that is goes beyond the 2 standard deviation, which is highlighted here. So LJ chart, it detects some systemic variations or random variations, lot-to-lot variations, and day-to-day variations. So what are the systemic variations? What is shift? Where the control values of 6 consecutive runs that falls on one side of the mean. You can see from this picture, where is the shift? The control values are one side of the mean. That is the shift. What may be the reason? It may be due to the switching to new lot of kits, or some new reagents were added, or some new technicians operating the machine. And what is trend? Trend is the 6 consecutive points distributed in one general direction. So as you can see from this picture, in trend, that is the graph is going up. That is a consecutive 6 values are going in upward direction. So what could maybe the reason? Maybe the reagents are deteriorating or the equipment showing faulty results. And random variations, what happens? One result which is significantly different from other result, and there is no pattern that happens random. So it may be transcription errors, or maybe due to sample mix-up, or poor pipette precisions, or poor mixing of samples. Maybe the reader was not properly calibrated, or improper washing steps. So all together can lead to some random variations, random error in control run. Now to summarize, the CLIA, that is the chemiluminescence immunoassay, they play a pivotal role in the modern medicine. It is actually a machine for the modern healthcare facilities. It is a very sophisticated machine that gives a precise and timely information, and ultimately it leads to better patient outcome. And there are lots of available machines available in the market, which are suitable. Some are suitable for small scale facilities, or some for larger scale facilities. So we have varied range of machines available in the market. Some can run like 90 samples in an hour, or some can run around 1,000 or 1,200 samples in an hour. So there are various machines is available, and CLIA is currently many government hospitals also procuring, shifting their TTI testing from ELISA to CLIA, and also corporates are running efficiently with CLIA machines. And as we are operating these machines for 10 years in our institute, and we can see it's a very easy machine to operate. And although we get some false positive results, but that is for patient safety. So to conclude that, so CLIA is a machine for modern medicine, and so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mukherjee. That was highly informative, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us and share your insights on CLIA testing, especially in blood centers, with our audience. There was one thing that you mentioned, sir, in your last, towards the end of your presentation, in your conclusion, was the discussion on false positivity. Now, CLIA is known for its sensitivity, but what is the trade-off? I mean, given your experience, what is the trade-off in terms of false positive rates, especially in low prevalence populations? How do you suggest handling donor deferral based on reactive CLIA results? Because a lot of people are getting positive results in CLIA, which are not coming in rapids or ELISAs. So how should the blood center approach that?
Actually, we are also getting many false positive cases. And as we are fortunate enough to have NAT testing in our facility, so we run the sample in parallel for NAT testing.
Okay.
And there is, according to literature, Western blot is the confirmatory test. But we don't have the Western blot facility in our center. So according to the NBTC or drug control regulations, we have to discard those samples. So frankly, we have to discard those samples. We don't have the opportunity to analyze further. So that's the end point. We have to discard. If it is positive, we have to discard. And we have the NAT facility available, but we can check it for academic purpose only. If it is CLIA positive, we have to discard.
So it doesn't matter if I would like to believe that earlier the algorithm was that you test it on 2 or 3 different testing systems to confirm. If you have one ELISA, one rapid, and one CLIA, so at least 2 out of 3 must come positive. Is that not the rule that is followed now?
No, the rule is you have to repeat with the same technique we have used already.
Okay.
We have to repeat the testing with that same technique. And if it comes positive, then we have to refer the donor to the other testing center.
So
If it
what
is HIV,
proportion that you're getting in this? Because since CLIA is extremely different from the rest of the ELISA and rapids, uh, how many cases as a general in our general sample population, how many such cases are coming as false positive? Or is there any specific test that is coming more positive as compared to the others, whether it's HIV, hepatitis C, or hepatitis B? Any such
uh,
data that you all work with, and you can share with the audience? I mean, as per your this thing.
actually, we are getting many false positive cases in terms of hepatitis B.
Okay,
Uh, the values, actually, if we look at the cutoff value, if it is more than one, it is called positive. According to the signal to cutoff ratio is more than one is called positive results. When the value ranges between 1 to 50, I am talking about uh, hepatitis B or HIV. We have done a study on HIV where we have found that when the CLIA value comes within 0 to 50, that is a positive according to CLIA. But when we repeat the test with NAT, it comes out as negative.
mm,
When the CLIA becomes the value is more than 100, we're actually getting true positive value. So that's a point. In last, we have done a study on 65,000 donors. So we
okay,
have found 163 HIV positive cases. That is a CLIA positive, HIV positive cases. But we have repeated the samples, those positive samples with NAT and rapid testing. It came out that out of 163, only 51 were NAT positive, and 50 was rapid positive. So when we analyze the data, we have found that 0 to 50, the CLIA values that ranges between 0 to 50 are typically NAT negative.
okay. Is that, do
And,
you think that
and
is related to the viral load, in the sample?
probably viral load is bit low, which viral, I don't know. Viral load, not, I can say that uh, mm, as NAT detects the nucleic acid, it detects the nucleic acid, DNA or RNA, but
Correct.
it depends on antibody detection. That they detect they capture the antibody in case of CLIA. So somehow uh, this false reactivity may be due to the antibody production at low level. Or cross reactivity, or maybe due to some, I don't know, maybe COVID infection or some respiratory infection, some other viral infections that interferes with this CLIA testing. That may give rise to this false positive results.
Okay. There was one more question that I had, sir. Uh, Given that CLIA platforms require specialized calibration, maintenance, and even a special cold chain for reagents, how feasible is it for smaller tier 2 and tier 3 city blood centers to adopt this technology in a sustainable manner? Because Calcutta being Calcutta and Apollo being Apollo, they have all the infrastructure. But do you see over the next 5 years a lot of penetration of chemiluminescence at the blood centers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
Actually, it does not require any special setup. Likewise, in ELISA, you need a simple refrigerator. In 4 degrees, we have all the 4-degree refrigerators in our blood banks. So you can keep your reagents in that refrigerator, and you have to follow the manufacturer instruction, what it instructs. Simply some reagents, they advise you to keep it in minus 20-degree freezer, or some told you to keep it in 4-degree freezer. Some are instructed to keep it in room temperature. So you don't need any specialized freezer or specialized uh, storage system for CLIA to run. If you have the ELISA setup, you can easily install CLIA machine. That's it.
So one last question. Coming backward, circling back to that old question about positivity. You said that if a system had given a positive result on CLIA, you would discard the sample. But if you're working in a laboratory where you had a ELISA a CLIA positive but a NAT negative for whatever reasons, how would you approach that sample? Would you discard that sample, or would you have it retested again in NAT or ELISA? What would be your approach, sir?
NAT test is not mandatory as per drug and cosmetic tech. It is you can add NAT to your protocol, but it is not a mandatory test. But CLIA is a mandatory test. So either CLIA or ELISA, you have to run one screening test. If it is CLIA positive, so according to Drug Act, we have to discard.
Okay.
Our protocol we follow in our institute, we run our samples both in CLIA and NAT. We use the NAT if CLIA misses some samples in window period. There is chance NAT could detect it.
Correct.
And we have a good amount of hepatitis B samples, and we also have had one NAT positive hepatitis B samples in last month, where CLIA found to be negative, non-reactive. So we found it is NAT reactive. So we use both systems in our institute, both CLIA and NAT. But according to Drug Act, if CLIA is positive, then we have to discard it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, sir, and that's been extremely informative today. We will be having a certificate sent to you as we, get it printed and sent, and Mr. Dino Bandhu will deliver it to you. But for now, accept this little digital certificate of appreciation from our side. Dr. Sourav Mukherjee, thank you very much for your time and effort.
Thank
And
you.
this great presentation on importance of CLIA in TTI testing in blood centers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you on our next webinar on dengue testing, specifically on protocols of dengue testing, coming up on 11th of July, 2025. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Jai Hind.